you've all been mainly consistent from Tuesday to today, are there any updates, any changes, any shifts, anything that's been happening in your world since doing this work? Anything that you've noticed?
I'll speak. I think for me, obviously, I've not long finished Selfish, but it was good just to kind of go over things again. I think sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, because you can't obviously just, and it's like you said, you only take so much of the information in when you, so it's good to go over things. So I think that's been really good for me personally, is to just think, what's the word? Oh my gosh, I can't speak.
Recap.
Recap. Thank you. That's a word. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's part of doing the work is the repetition and the consistency of coming back to something. And then also the other most important part is the integration. So the integration is when we've taken the knowledge and then we start to embody it through actually being able to use it. So, I get to speak into this boundary now. I get to have this clearing conversation with this person. I get to, build my confidence in this area that I don't feel confident in. So it's actually hard to see if things are changing until you're actually putting it into action. You're actually doing the things. So that's going to come afterwards. Yeah.
Very excited for today's though, energy leaks.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing the money masterclass tonight as well. So today we'll talk a little bit about money stuff, but we'll do more of it tonight. Um, let's begin. I need to take a breath because today has been wild. So, what are we doing? Where's my page? That's right. I went to a list. I created this list a couple of weeks ago of like energy links that I need to clean up in my life. So I'm going to reference that and come back to it towards the end of the training. Okay, so day one we did self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Day two was all around building unconditional confidence. And then today is all around plugging the energy leaks. So often when we want to create change in our life or we want something else, we want to manifest something, whatever it is, we think it's about more. Like I need to do something more. But often I actually just need to clean up what isn't working. I need to seal some of the gaps which are not supporting this desire, this manifestation that I want. So it's not always looking for more and more things and learning something else and doing something else and exposing yourself to more. It's actually about how can I strip away? How can I Marie Kondo all of the shit that's actually not working for me? So that's what we're going into today, how we actually put this into action. So, and a reminder that tonight we have, the 6 o'clock cleaning up your relationship with money masterclass, and 8 o'clock we have our full moon ceremony inside a higher ground, future visioning, all of the things. So that will be amazing. So when we talk about energy, everything is energy and your energy source is infinite. And who here feels as if I've just got no energy? Who says I've just got no energy? Or you can feel that sense of some days or some weeks or some times where you just don't feel as if you have any energy. And that feels very true. And I feel that way a lot in my own life. And what is actually happening is that our energy, which is an infinite resource, is being pulled in different directions, which are not where you want it to actually be, where you want to actually feel it. And so think about your computer, right? When you have 1,600 tabs open across the top of your computer, because I need to come back to that and I need to do this and I need to send this email and I need to buy this thing and da 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 da. That's exactly what we're doing in our life with our own energy. Oh, I haven't had that conversation with this person. I need to pay that bill. I need to do this. I need to inquire about da 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 da. And we have all of these tabs open. We're spreading ourselves so thin across all of these things that that our energy gets pulled away from us, pulled away from our center, because it's keeping energy in all of those places and all of those tabs. And then our computer starts to run really slowly, and our computer and our software starts to malfunction. And we're like, oh my God, I forgot to pick up the kids from school today. Or, oh my God, I forgot my dad's birthday. Or, oh my God, why can't I just stay concentrated? Why did I forget to meditate this morning? It's because your brain is not for storing information. Your brain is not a hard drive where you can just keep these limitless tabs open all the time and expect that you'll be operating at 100%. And also, here on my nose, when we have all of these energetic tabs open, we're never really going deep on one thing. We're going shallow across a lot of things. And part of our brain thinks that that makes us more successful, that makes us more productive if we do lots and lots and lots and lots of things and we spin all of these plates at one time. But it's actually taking away from our ability to get really laser focused on what in our life needs and gets our attention right now, and where do we get to go deep. Does that make sense? Are you having a moment of like a head nod moment of like, ooh, whoops, that might be what the problem is. It's not that I'm, incapable. It's not that I'm whatever. It's just that I have been running this operating system which isn't actually conducive to the levels of energy that I wish to have. Perfect. Now that we've got this information, we can start cleaning up. So if you feel low energy, it's just because your energy is being redirected elsewhere. And I'll get into soon where those places could be. It's never being depleted. You have an infinite store, you have an infinite reserve, but it's just being depleted elsewhere. When you come down with a virus or a flu or you're sick or something and you just feel so low energy, that's because your body, your blood, your oxygen, everything in your body is going towards healing, is going to the places in your body that need that healing. And so it's kind of the same thing. We feel tired because our energy is needed elsewhere. Same thing in our life. If our relationships need more energy and more attention, we're probably not going to have the energy for self-care, potentially, or our friendships. So when we talk about energy leaks, we are talking about the things that are sucking your energy that you mightn't even be aware of, because you're not aware, it's not tangible, it's not physical, you can't see where you're leaving your energy. And so that's why having a practice, a reflection practice, and having a bit of an audit practice of where in my life, and a great time to do this as women, and I know that there's some men who are watching this replay, but as women, our monthly cycle, so when we're bleeding, is a great time to do this cleanup process. Because when we're bleeding, the veil is very thin between us and the truth. It's very hard to lie to ourselves. It's very hard to lie to other people when we're bleeding. We are very honest. We can see the truth. And so this is a great time to scan your life. And it's also a time when we're very intuitive, and it's a great time for long-term kind of planning and seeing into the future. So it's a great time to have a look at your life and do an audit of like, what drained my energy last month? Where did I perhaps leave some energy in situations or experiences or conversations where I can pull that back? Where do I want to redirect my energy for the month ahead? What is really calling me right now? What needs my energy? What do I feel passionate about? Where are my values pulling me towards this month? So having that monthly practice is a really powerful way to do it. So yeah, we're talking about, with energy leaks, we're talking about things that are sucking your energy that you mightn't be aware of, and it's depleting your reserves so you don't feel like you have energy to give to the things that actually matter. And our bodies, our systems are wired to put out the fires. We're constantly scanning for negative things. We're constantly scanning for problems and to put those out. So that's often the lens through which we're viewing the world, is like, what can I fix? What can I put out? What needs my attention? Da, 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 da. And that doesn't really leave us room to focus on like, what do I desire? What do I want to create? What do I, the positive aspects, because we're attuned to looking at what's negative, what's going wrong. So that's why we do future visioning, so that we can really bring our energy into the future and into what we want to create. So say that you want ABC, but your energy is actually going towards XYZ, putting out whatever fire. Much of it is non-conscious, so we're not even aware that that's happening. And I'll get into soon what some examples are, so we can really put it into context. But energy leaks are essentially anti-leadership qualities. And what we've been talking about this week with personal power is self-leadership, and really being self-led and putting your energy to the things that really matter and that are moving you forward and that are in alignment with where you're going. And energy leaks really take away from that. They're very anti-leadership. They allow you to become stuck in your circumstances, stuck in your feelings and emotions, rather than using the feelings and emotions as information to move forward and to leverage with. So when we do not zip up these energy leaks. We're being passive in our life rather than active. We're letting life happen to us, and we're just kind of being pulled in whatever direction life wants to take us in, versus actually taking that leadership role of, what am I choosing? What am I cleaning up? This thing happened. What am I doing about it? What is my next best action? So it's more of a momentum energy when we step into self-leadership. So how do you know that you have energy leaks? That's probably the most important thing that we want to really attune to, is how do we know? How do we know? Does anyone have any answers? I want to ask. How do we know? Any ideas? Do you want me to tell you? Go, Simone. You got something.
Is it like when you feel like unfulfilled by what's kind of happening in your day because it's not actually where you want your energy to go?
Totally. Yeah. Our feelings. So lack of fulfillment, discontent, conflict. If you're feeling joyless, if you're feeling angry at something, or frustrated, or resentful, all of those kind of like, ooh, not so positive and happy emotions, there's often an energy leak at the base of that. So we get to scan the areas of our life, or we get to stay really present in the moment with our self-awareness of like, oh, I'm feeling this feeling. What's going on beneath the surface here? Resentment, for example, anger, for example, is always going to be a signal that a boundary has been overstepped. If we're feeling angry, if we're feeling frustrated, there's a boundary there that hasn't been implemented or has been overstepped. So finding the leaks, where, and here's a question to reflect on, where in your life are you not actually excited with what you're doing? Where are you doing something because you feel, someone feel like you've got something? Where are you doing something because you feel you should? You feel a sense of obligation. You feel as if someone will be upset with you if you don't do this thing. Or you're just doing this thing and you're completely in autopilot and you haven't stopped to ask yourself, do I actually need to be doing this? Am I choosing this? Or have I just become a victim to this thing? So where in your life are you not actually excited with what you're doing? Keeping in mind that there's going to be parts of everything that we're not excited by, right? Like, we value our health. We value taking care of our health. We're not really excited to go and get a pap smear, okay? It's just like, that's just part of it. We love having a business. We love what we do. We don't love doing our taxes. And so there's absolutely going to be parts of it, but it's about noticing the balance of like, where am I actually in my joy and my excitement and my aliveness versus not, and perhaps look at the ratio there. If you get so excited about what you do, it's going to work. Like anything that you apply yourself to, if you're excited about it, it's going to work, because the energy that you show up to that thing is completely different than if you're showing up with the energy of, oh, I have to do this thing, or like, oh, so-and-so made me do this thing, or I should do this, or I'm obligated to do this. The outcome will be completely different and the experience will be completely different, right? Versus being excited. Where in your life do you feel stagnant or perhaps underappreciated or under-recognized? Where do things feel stagnant? Where no one is perhaps noticing you, or you're not receiving the praise or the recognition or the approval that you feel you deserve? And where are your needs not being met? Where do you feel there's an imbalance between the energy that you're putting into something and the energy that you're getting back, which is what we call an energy exchange? And that's a really important piece of this, is, are the energy exchanges in my life reciprocal? So the energy that I'm putting into my friendships, is that being reciprocated? The energy that I'm putting into love and relationships and dating, is that being reciprocated? The energy I'm putting into my career, am I being compensated and recognized and valued as such? And sometimes we can get really complacent with our worth around that, particularly around career, but often around relationships as well. If we haven't done shadow work to clear out any limiting beliefs or any sort of wounds around our worth and our worthiness, then we will settle for less than we are worth and less than we deserve, with money, with career, with love, with friendships, with the way that people treat us, with all of it. So that in itself is information. If we look at something and go, yeah, actually, I'm not getting treated as well as I would like to in the workplace. Why have I not spoken up for myself? Why have I not asked for more? Oh, it's because I actually don't truly feel worthy of doing that. I'm actually afraid to ask for more. I'm actually afraid to leave this job because maybe I just won't get anything better anyway. So I'll just stay in the discomfort that I know versus the discomfort of what I don't know, which is a new job. So reciprocal energy exchange is huge. If we're pouring so much energy into something and getting little in return, our reserves are not being restocked, right? And then we have this void inside of us that we look to fill with shopping, with men, with alcohol, with food, with sugar, with over-exercising, with Netflix, scrolling, all of the things. So can you see how vital it is that we keep these energy reserves really topped up? And we also maintain our awareness of just looking at our life regularly and reflecting and going, how am I feeling? How are things going? And in Selfish, we did this Wheel of Life tool, which is like it's a circle that's cut into segments like a pie. And each segment represents a domain of your life. So social, health, career, money, romantic relationships, home, your home life, like whatever. You can make up your own kind of areas of what features in your life. And then you give each of those domains a rating of how you feel about that area right now, between 0 to 10, 10 being amazing, no room for improvement. And you can't use the number 7. I forgot to tell the girls those rules, but those are the rules. You can't use the number 7. And so that gives you a very honest and raw overview of the areas of your life. So that's a really powerful tool to use and do a bit of an audit of like, yeah, actually, my health at the moment is a 2. Okay, great. Next month, that's where I get to redirect my energy because my relationships are at a 9 right now. So they can just keep doing what they're doing, and I'll redirect my energy to my health because that matters. So how do we find? So I'm going to talk a little bit about different categories of where these energy leaks can fall into. Shadow work is like the overview term of the work that I do. It's not the fluffy like affirmations and like yay positive stuff. It's like the gritty stuff. It's looking at your trauma, your triggers, your shame, generational trauma, family stuff, your negative self-talk, the way that you sabotage yourself, your destructive coping mechanisms, emotional eating, emotional shopping, all of the things, your addictions, gossiping, any self-harm or self-abuse, all of that stuff, all of the darker stuff is what we do. Courtney's like, holy shit, is that what I signed up for in Selfish? Oh my God. Ugh. Don't worry, look at Rebecca. She keeps coming back for more. And so that is a really great modality through which we can start to plug our energy leaks, because we get really honest with ourselves with that. We get really honest and we start to take radical ownership with, oh yeah, I've got daddy issues. Okay, cool. How can I clean that up? Like, yeah, I talk to myself really freaking negatively. I need to clean that up because that is leaking energy elsewhere if we are not healing all of this stuff and integrating all of the stuff. So shadow work is kind of the overview of what I'm talking about here. So let's talk about money energy leaks, and I'll go into this more in tonight's masterclass on that, cleaning up our relationship to money. But this is a really key area for a lot of people because money carries a lot of shame for a lot of people, and confusion, right? Like money can be really confusing. It's like, what should I be doing? What should I know? How do I look after my money? And a confused mind always says no. So the more confused you are about something, you'll find every excuse not to do it. It's like if you join a gym, you're like, fuck, I don't know how to use any of this equipment. Oh my God. You're just going to go and like stretch your quads and you'll go home. I'm speaking from experience. And so how can we become less confused about something? Educate ourselves, learn, hire a mentor, learn things, go on YouTube, read the books. So that's one of the things with money, is just not having the knowledge. It's easy to leak out our power with money if we just don't educate ourselves. I couldn't think of the word educate, how ironic. Educate ourselves about money. And so there's incredible books out there. How to Be a Badass with Money or something, I think is what it's called. I can't remember the name. Oh, Jen Sincero, great book. The Barefoot Investor, great book. There's so many money books out there that help us to clean up that relationship that we have with money. If you are not putting time and energy into building a healthy relationship with money, then of course that area of your life is going to feel leaky. Of course it's going to feel disempowering and like it's not going in the direction that you want it to. So how much of your time do you have a night every month or every week where you sit down and you have a relationship and you have a date night with your money? This is what they say to do in The Barefoot Investor. Is there a day of the week where you, or on payday, where you sit down and you put your money into different buckets of like where that money is being used each month? I did that today. So what energy are you directing to actually build a healthier relationship with money? Because money is such, if we look at the pie chart of our life, money kind of rules quite a lot of it, right? Like we need it, we talk about it, we use it, we have interactions with it pretty much every single day. Yet often we're like this when we check our bank statement, we're like, oh, like you go to the ATM, you're like, no receipt, do not display on screen. I don't want to see it. And so no wonder if we have that relationship, then we're not actually having an empowered relationship with money. We're not actually like front and center taking self-leadership with that relationship. Unpaid bills are obviously a money leak. If you're just like waiting till the very last minute to pay your fine or to pay your bill, then that's not you really trusting and you really being in gratitude for, I'm so grateful that I get to pay this phone bill. I'm so grateful that I have a car that allows me to drive to, Raglan and have a weekend away. I'm going to pay my warrant of fitness on time, early, whatever. So have a look at the behavior behind how you're transacting with money. Are you actually present to it when you're tapping your card at the terminal to buy the thing? Or have you actually just left your body because you know that you're emotionally spending and you don't want to be present to it and you're like in a shame spiral, guilt spiral? See if you can start to build a more present and intentional relationship with every interaction that you have with money on a daily basis. And notice what your body does. When you log into your banking app and you see a number on your bank statements, notice what your body does. Is it a contraction of like, oh, fuck? Or is it just neutral? Or is it like, that feels good to hold that amount? Because your body is telling you exactly where the work is to do or where you're at that time. So start to notice how your body, how your nervous system is communicating with that. Because most of us have a nervous system. I don't want to say most of us because I don't want to project, but many of us have a nervous system that feels dysregulated around money, particularly as we're moving into a recession, which is just the truth. So can we build a nervous system that actually feels safe, that actually feels okay, that feels regulated when it comes to money? And we start that work by just the simple things. When we log into the bank app and we notice the money, the amount, or we go to pay for our now $7.80 coffee and we don't have a charge. We don't have a kind of like contraction. Am I worthy of this? Oh, guilt. I shouldn't be doing this. It's just like I'm choosing this. I'm being intentional with where I'm spending my money. So notice that, play around with it. Other money energy leaks is subscriptions that you signed up for that you're not using, that you don't need. So just canceling them, cleaning those up, looking at your insurance and, cleaning that up every year. Is your car still valued at the same value? Is it still parked at the same house? Just cleaning up all of these things that you're paying for and being intentional with it. Otherwise, we're just leaking money out to, things that don't need it. If you've got health insurance, have you put all your claims in? Are you doing, all of your reconciliations? Is your tax in on time? Mine certainly isn't, but it will be soon. Yeah, all of those types of things. Do you have money sitting, oh God, do you have money sitting in overseas accounts that you just really can't be bothered doing the paperwork to bring back here? Again, that's another kind of like, oh, I don't care about money. It's just over there versus like, I actually really care about my money. I'm going to sit down for a day and do all of this paperwork and get this done. And then the final one is not having a system for your money. So when I talk about systems, when it comes to money, budgeting is a system that most people will avoid because it's gross. But buckets, having certain buckets for your money is a system. So the Barefoot Investor talks about buckets. Rebecca, with your business, you might want to read Profit First at some point and do the Profit First system, which is a really powerful system for business owners. Those are systems that allow us to redirect our money into certain places for certain things. So with Barefoot Investor, there's a certain percentage of my salary that I pay myself every month that's splurge. So I can splurge that on whatever I want, guilt-free. There's a certain amount that goes to like fire extinguisher if my car blows up and I need to fix that. There's a certain amount that goes to longer term savings, like holidays or whatever. So putting things in buckets, so we know exactly where that money is going and what it's needed for. That's a system that can help us to contain our money and have a better relationship with it. Next category is social energy leaks. So social relationships, gossip is one of the main ones. And gossip is a way that many people try to form a connection, but it's a very low vibration connecting. We're trying to connect with other people through dragging other people through the mud or through talking about other people. This is talking about ideas and dreams and yourself. And so not gossiping and not engaging in gossip and setting boundaries around what conversations you are involved in and not, particularly in the workplace where that can be rife. Really important, really great way to clean up energy. Being invited to something and not giving a clear answer, that's an energy leak. If someone has invited you or asked you to do something, or hey, we should catch up soon, and you're like, yeah, but don't really want to. Just closing down that conversation, closing down that energetic loop. Speaking your boundaries into friendships of like, thanks for the invite, but that's not something I have capacity for at the moment. I hope you have a great time. Rather than just leaving things lingering, leaving them floating in the air. Friendships that have expired, but you haven't had a closing conversation. So perhaps there's a friendship in your life which you no longer want to give energy to, but you haven't communicated that. And this person keeps reaching out to you and saying, hey, we should catch up soon. Like, what's been happening? And you're like, oh my God, I've just been so busy. But really, you don't want to see that person anymore, but you're not having that brave conversation of saying the words that need to be said. Ghosting is a big energy leak, particularly around dating. But also ghosting, you know, if you have, so as a coach, when people ghost me when we're having a conversation and they've signed up for a wait list, for example, and they've inquired about my program, and I send them an email and I say, hey, you're on the wait list, like, let me know how I can help you. Are you a yes or you a no? And I get crickets. I get no response because people are afraid to say no, and they would prefer to just sit on the fence, or they'd prefer to just kind of disappear into the ether versus actually just having that conversation and being in integrity and saying, you know what, I'm still thinking about it. Thank you for following up. Reach out to me next round. So where are we kind of ghosting people who we've sort of engaged with and then withdrawn from? Can we clean up those conversations? And can we set a standard for ourselves of no ghosting? Just being radically honest, being radically truthful about where we're at. And that requires a level of honesty with ourselves that sometimes feels really scary. It's much easier to be a fence sitter than to be really decisive about things and completely closing the door to something, closing the door to one thing. And I see this with dating apps. It's much easier to have like 15 or 25 lingering conversations of like, yeah, I might, like, I'll see if I feel like I want to reply to this one, versus being decisive and being like, yeah, I'm going to continue and put time into this and continue conversing, or I'm going to shut this down because I'm not feeling it. So all of those little things are little energy leaks. Getting drunk to fit in, or doing some sort of behavior in your social life to fit in, doing things that you don't like to do just to fit in, just to belong, just because all your friends are doing it. That is a way that you're out of integrity with your own energy, and you're redirecting your energy to somewhere where it's not fully aligned. And I used to do this a lot growing up. I didn't like drinking, but I felt that I needed to in order to fit in. And then the consequences from doing that on my body, on my mental health, on my finances, on everything, it wasn't congruent with what I actually wanted. Yet I was too afraid to say, No, actually, I'm standing in my own lane. I don't like drinking. Let's go for brunch instead or whatever. So where are we not being, and this leads me to the next one, incongruency. Incongruency with what we're saying and what we're wanting, what we're standing for and what we're wanting, what we're standing for and what we're allowing. So with romantic relationships, for example, saying that you want a relationship and then leaving men on red on the dating apps and not actually conversing and not engaging and not even, going out on dates and not doing any of the work to actually call in the relationship. So where are there discrepancies between what you actually desire, what you say that you want outwardly, and the behavior that you're following through with? And that can also apply to health. I really want to clean up my gut issues, yet I'm ordering Uber Eats and eating Thai takeaways 3 nights a week, for example. Where is there an incongruency between values and actions? And that's information. It's not about judgment. It's not about making you bad or wrong, but it's going, I wonder what pattern is playing out here. What is this pattern that is driving me to order the Uber Eats and not to actually really be empowered with my health? What else? Projections. So projecting our beliefs and our ideals onto other people. Friendships, relationships, lovers, all of the things, projecting, what we see in them and telling people who they are versus allowing them to be who they are. Lack of boundaries with family. So not telling your family that it's not okay for them to just turn up at your house unannounced, but you'd like them to call ahead first and ask if it's okay. Not, telling your uncle that it's not okay to be racist at the dinner table. It's actually really uncomfortable, and it's not having these conversations, calling people out and saying, do better. And it's really hard to do that with family, but it's also really important. Having unspoken agreements with people. So unspoken agreements are where we assume that someone knows how to treat us. We assume that someone else knows what we want. He should just know. He should know that I'm on my period right now, and so he should have just brought home flowers. Or like, my mum should just know not to bring up that conversation about blah, 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 blah. These are unspoken agreements. We haven't actually said to the person and been explicit and said, hey, I know that you mean really well, but sometimes when you talk about X, Y, and Z, it really hurts me. So unspoken agreements are a real energetic leak, because we develop this kind of like conflict and this resentment and this frustration towards this other person who has no idea what our needs are because we haven't spoken them. So these are projected assumptions that we just think, this person should just know. Otherwise, they are a mean person. And just remember that everything is mirroring your own behavior. So the behavior that we're seeing in others and the way that people are treating us, there's part of us that's allowing that. There's part of us that is a energetic match for that and allowing that into our life. And so part of this cleanup work is going, how am I allowing this? How have I, created a thread of worthiness towards calling this in? Where do I get to clean this up so this doesn't happen again? How can I raise my standards for myself so that this type of behavior, it just doesn't even come into my orbit? I'm no longer having men ghost me because I'm going to stop ghosting all of the people in my life, for example. And then finally, health and well-being. Think about your questions. We'll head over onto questions very, very soon. Health and well-being is obviously going to be a very, very big area, because when we talk about energy, it kind of is very aligned to our health and our well-being. So I don't know why I wrote this example down, but for example, eating everything on your plate because of starving kids in Africa, because you grew up in a household where your mum told you had to eat everything on your plate because of the starving kids in Africa. So that's doing something that's actually out of incongruent with, I'm actually full and I just stop eating when I'm full, versus I need to keep eating because mum told me about these kids over on the other side of the world. And that's anything that is sort of going against our intuition and going against our bodily signals can be one of these energy leaks, right? So being really tired, but not giving yourself the opportunity to rest, wanting to sleep in, but I told my friend I'd meet her at the gym. You're allowed to change your mind. It's okay. So energy leaks are doing things to please other people that actually go against our own wants and needs internally and what our intuition is asking for. Not taking your supplements, not doing the things that are actually, that you value and that you're putting your money resources towards, but then not following through energetically and actually doing it. Not investing in your health, both time and money, if it's a core value of yours. So you say that you really value health, you want to be healthy, you have all these health goals, yet you're not making time for it. It's something that you find time for if you can find it at the end of the day, versus actually this happens first thing in the morning because it's my priority. Not prioritizing meditation, self-care, rest, all of the things. Again, that's, if that's something that you desire to have a better practice at those things, yet you're not actually choosing to do them, you're not creating a system that can allow you to flourish and do them, i.e. setting your alarm, putting a reminder on your phone, putting a post-it note around the house, then that's a leak, because you've got this tab open saying, I need to start meditating consistently, but not following through with the action that gives you that internal reward of, wow, this feels good, I'm going to keep this up. We sabotage. Paying for a gym membership and then not using it. Pushing yourself with the high intensity exercise when you're on your period and your body is actually asking for rest, but you think, oh, but I've paid for this membership, I need to use it. And finally, not addressing health concerns. So if you know that there's something happening with your health, if you know that you've been exhausted and you know that, I don't know, you've got gut issues or you've got this mole on your arm or whatever it is, and they're not actually addressing it, not actually taking action towards figuring that thing out, again, you're keeping another tab open, because everywhere you go, there you are. Every meal you eat, that gut issue comes up and, bites you in the face. And so these are all ways that we can just start to go, okay, these are my values. This is where I'm out of alignment right now. This is the action I need to take in order to clean this up. And this is the result that I will have through doing this. It's simple, but it feels like a lot, but it really is really simple. It's micro adjustments. And if you were to look at your life right now and everything that we've just gone through, I'm sure there's just micro tweaks, just tiny little things. It's not a huge overhaul, because those start to flow on. They start to have a flow on effect. The more that you can build self-respect through bringing things into congruency, into alignment, that builds self-respect, that builds self-trust and self-reliance. You're going to do the things, you're going to follow through, you're going to be in integrity, and it starts to get much easier because you're laying that foundation through the tiny little micro adjustments. Questions? Conversations? I want to hear what you feel your biggest leak is that you get to prioritize. Oh, I was going to share mine with you, wasn't I? Mine are mainly business ones. So just to give you a bit of a snapshot. So clients who I know are never going to sign up for a program, but I continue to just kind of like engage with them and have conversations and like keep following up with them. And I just know energetically, I know they're not going to sign up. So I could just kind of drop that conversation, close that loop, be unattached to the outcome. Yet sometimes I find myself, oh, I should just follow up with them. Having misaligned Instagram followers. So people who follow me who are like 65-year-old men in America, like they're not my audience. And so I get to clean them out. I get to remove those followers. Or people who want to like have a jewelry brand, or I don't know, just stuff that's unaligned. Giving too much away in my DMs on Instagram. So coaching people in my DMs is like a boundary for me. I don't do it. Yet still I have people coming to me and asking for that. So just having a hard no on that. Just deleting stuff on my computer, deleting old files, screenshots on my phone, like cleaning up stuff on my laptop, on my phone, having that clean. I try and make Fridays in my life a day where I close loops and I close energetic loops, whether that's having a conversation with someone, sending a voice note. If I had to do this last week, actually, I had I guess, a bit of a falling out with a friend. And so last week I thought, this has gone on for, a week or two now. I'm going to send a clearing voice note just to kind of share where I'm at and share what I want. And I did that on Friday and I closed that down and I haven't heard back, but I decided that I wanted to do that. And I sent a text to my brother because I needed to reach out to him, and just closing things down. It allows us to kind of go into the weekend knowing that the weekend is ours. We've closed these loops. We don't have these tabs open in our head. So maybe start to think about, is there a day of the week? Maybe it's a Sunday, maybe it's a Friday, whatever works for you, where you can just close down some stuff. Maybe you spend 15 minutes deleting old photos on your phone, deleting phone numbers of guys that you've matched with on Bumble, you've gone on a date with, and you're not going to see them again. Like clearing out the contacts, deleting people on the dating apps who you know that you're not going to go on a date with, getting rid of old clothes, getting rid of old, like clearing out the rubbish in your car, doing a bit of a tidy up. Other things in my business, so deleting and getting rid of like products and courses and whatever that are no longer aligned and no longer feel like they're me, deleting them, removing them, clearing out old emails in my inbox, and yeah, that's about it. So there's so many ways that we can do this. It's just about having that lens of, is this serving me? Is this serving my highest good? Or can I actually clear this out and create space to call in that which is more aligned? Yeah. Questions? What are you clearing up, Rebecca?
I've actually just been writing it down. So yeah, I'm the same as you, ghosting clients that I've obviously keep following up with and just not getting anything back. I actually have a lot of tabs open in my computer, like physically. I closed a couple this morning, but yeah, so clearing that up, I think, as well. I recently just made I've just moved away where I don't know anyone to like fill you guys in. Anna knows that, but you guys won't. And I recently made a friend, and something kind of happened Monday night, and then I spoke to her this morning, and she literally just didn't talk to me at all. And so I think I had a conversation with her. And I went to this networking group that I wanted to try, full of men, got a really funny vibe as soon as I walked in, very much a boys club. And they've emailed me and I haven't emailed them back, so I'm going to email them back and say, no, not interested.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Isn't it cool? It's just that decisive energy of like, whoop, yep, I get to take my power back in this, done.
Yeah, so that's mine.
Yeah.
The only that I can think of right now, but I'm sure I'll have more come up.
Yeah. And remember yesterday we spoke about like that apologetic energy, when we're being apologetic of like, this is the antithesis of that, of like, no, actually I've thought about it, I don't want to join your networking club. No, we need to have a conversation about this. No, I'm not following up with those clients anymore. It's like, you're not apologetic, you're just like, this is what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
like it or leave it.
Yeah. That was good. I really enjoyed that. I have to go in a minute, but that was really good.
Cool. It's a very attractive energy to be in. Carlin said, I have a lot of tabs open, computer and mentally. I think I want to start with health and well-being. Nice. Taking the time and actually forming boundaries with myself. Also taking a day of the week to close loops and cycles, like you said. Yeah, nice. And then it just becomes a rhythm, and you gain momentum, and you're like, that just becomes your natural state of like closing loops, clearing stuff out, decisiveness, not keeping all of these things open and lingering. It just becomes organic. What else? Simone, what are yours?
My very biggest one is not saying no to invitations when I know that I don't want to go. And I've noticed the feeling of like a classic example is like children's birthday parties, or like people I went to space groups on 2 years ago, and they still invite you to things. And instead of just saying no, you're like, I kind of like leave it there for like 2 or 3 weeks before I finally say no. So yeah, just be more upfront and decisive with that.
Nice.
Free up some brain space.
And it probably seems harmless, right? It probably seems harmless to like, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't respond. Like, no one's going to notice, but you notice. Like, it is a tab that's open in your head of feeling guilty.
Think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So yeah. And something that came up for me was like a belief that I know I have within myself, which you've kind of just given me permission to let go. So thank you. Is that I must honor all commitments that I make with my friends.
No.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've really held and like, know that they're important. So if I've said yes, I need to go. And that it's, you're letting people down when you say no, but actually you can't let them down when you turn up with like half yourself anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna set that one free today.
Yeah. And when you do that, you give other people permission to do the same.
Yeah. Yes.
So you get to go first.
Yes. I can.
Beautiful. You can, and you will. Yeah. Courtney?
One of the biggest ones for me probably is again back to my dad, and that just the unsortedness of it all, or knowing where we stand with moving forward with life, I guess, by where I sit with him. And like I've suggested what you said, like having a conversation, but I think, which I don't really know how to do, which I guess we'll get to at some point, is where to draw the line with that if people just aren't willing to put in the effort either, if that kind of makes sense, because I've suggested we have a chat about things, but that's where our last conversation was, like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't, like, he hasn't, like, I've suggested that he needs to move forward and have a chat with his partner, and that, that's kind of his thing to do. So it's just annoying having that constantly open going at, like, and because I do my best to try to touch, and he likes to keep in touch with the kids, but like every time if he rings the kids or you ring to catch up, you just kind of don't know where you are.
Yeah.
So just that, uncertainty there is probably a big open tab at the moment that drains a lot.
And here's what I would offer for that, and acknowledging that that's super painful, hard, the uncertainty, all of those things, is, can you find that within? Can you feel safe within yourself and just certain without actually needing an answer from another person? Because often we create attachments we have expectations around how someone needs to respond in order for us to feel okay.
Yeah.
Whereas you can feel okay without that happening. And what this is having high intentions but low attachments. So I have the highest intention for this relationship and for the outcome, and for, my dad responding in a way that, I feels really soothing and whatever. But I'm completely unattached to whether he does or not, because he's on his own journey, and however this goes, I'm okay. I've got me.
I mean, at this point, I'm not really bothered if he doesn't really want anything, but my head's kind of like, I just like to know, like, what his, but I guess I don't need to. Yeah, you're right. But I was like, if he, that makes sense.
That's your work, is just keeping coming back to your center and going, I'm okay regardless. I've got me. I'm okay regardless. I've got me. However this goes, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's a practice of self-soothing.
Yeah.
And you start Selfish next week, so that's
I do.
We're going to give you all the support and holding and validation and everything that you need in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions about these 3 days, about today, about anything? Thanks, Rebecca. Go and have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. She's a ledge, that one. Absolute ledge. Are we feeling good? Do we feel like things have kind of, I wouldn't say shifted, because that's going to happen after the fact, but do you feel like you've got some more awareness around this, some tools?
Very helpful. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I took what you suggested on board last night, and I went for a walk instead of brainstorming.
Yes.
Which is awesome, just to have some quiet. Like, I didn't take headphones or like to listen to a podcast or anything, which is what I often do as well. So I just gave myself some silence.
Isn't it so nice?
Yeah. And then another friend, we were talking to another friend last night as well, and about something else that had been coming up for me. I was like, I just feel like there's this wall that I just need to get over, and then I'll be fine. And she's like, well, I was sitting on the couch, like, why don't you just climb over your couch? And and it totally worked. It was just like, okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
over it now. And like it just freed it all out. So
Yeah.
yeah, just really moving from passive to active. I think it's like just those little actions, they can like give myself that like sort of sense of safety that I can take action.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Moving.
So thank
Yeah.
you for your encouragement.
You're so welcome. Yeah. And that's such a great one of like climbing over the couch or just
I felt really silly.
moving in any way. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it. It's the tiny things that like it's the symbolism, right? It's symbolizing something else. Awesome. Thanks, Carlin. Thanks for your message in the chat. This has been awesome. So yeah, any questions that come up after it, I'm always open. Message me in A Higher Ground, and everyone watching the replay, thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm always open for questions. If you want to have a chat about Selfish, we start in a few days, so the time is ticking. That's it. Have a beautiful afternoon, and I'll see you all soon. Bye. Yeah.